Hi, and welcome to Paper Route Scrapbooking. I'm Nadine, and today I am going to be creating with Sketch 1 of Christy's Beautiful Life, 30 Days of Sketches, Series 16. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Nadine and I am going to be working with this amazing sketch from sketch creator Lisa Brooks. There's her name there. You can find her on Christy's Beautiful Life Facebook page. So if you go to the Facebook page that I will have linked below, and you can find all of the sketches. There are 16 series of 30 sketches. There's lots of inspiration over there. Go check it out if you haven't already. And if you are coming here from another channel or from Christy's playlist, welcome. I'm super excited that you're here. If you like what you see, please leave me a thumbs up. If you want to watch more, please click that subscribe button. If this is not your jam, please click the next button and move on to the next content creator. There are so many of us. I'm sure you will find what you're looking for. All right. So today we are working on the first of the double page sketch series. Who's excited for double page sketches? I know some of my friends are diehard double page layout makers. And so I'm hoping that some of you will find some great inspiration this time around. If you haven't watched my first video, I encourage you to go back, and it explains a little bit about where I chose my photos from and why I was so inspired to participate in this series. So, this is the first part of my layout. So I got started on it before I turned the camera on. I did it at a retreat. I hope that's okay. I actually just wanted to get down the boring part because I felt like cutting all of these tiny papers and drawing all those lines was a little bit boring. So I did all of that off camera. Next up, I would really like to add some little stars. So on the sketch, as you can see, on those stitched lines, Lisa has little mini hearts all up and down those stitching lines. Now I drew faux stitching lines with a black pen. I think I used a zig writer, and then a ruler, and I just went through and I drew faux stitching in all of those places. If you are a machine stitcher, I think this would look so pretty with machine stitching. I do not have one of those machines, but I think it would look super cool. So I went looking through my supplies to find a little star, and I found one in my Christmas stamps, and I hope that it's the right size. But I feel like if it's not the right size, that'll be okay, because I'm going to stamp down here first, and that's where my journaling is going to go. So nobody will know but you and me if it's not the right thing. So I just picked out that tiny star and put it on a tiny stamp block, and I am going to ink it up. I am using an old ink pad that I've had forever. It is called Vivid Premium Dye. I haven't been able to find this since, but the ink pad is still juicy, so I keep using it. So the other one that I really like is the Versamark. So if you're looking for a good black ink, that's the one I recommend. So I am going to, using Lisa's sketch, because she did such a beautiful job designing this sketch, I'm just going to add some stars in the same places that she put her little hearts. So, oh yeah, I think they are the right size. This looks so fun. I love it. Okay, so I'm just going to do that here, and these ones are actually going to get covered up. So I'm just getting a feeling for how the pressure and stuff is going to be. So some of my stars, these are not perfect. Look closely. They're all different because I was trying different pressures, but I like this one the best. So that's what I'm going to try to repeat, but I'm probably not going to get it every single time, right? Okay, so she starts up here and then a little bit lower. And here. Now there, I have all those little stars on there, and I think that just adds a little something something to my layout, right? Now I did not grab my stamp cleaner thing. So I'll have to leave that till later, but I am going to cover up this ink pad just so I don't make a big fat mess. Now, next up, that was kind of part of the basic layout. Next up, I want to add my journaling and my date. So I have gone ahead and printed out my journaling on a piece of the patterned paper from the collection. I just cut it down to 8.5 by 11 and ran it through my printer. That is one way of getting your, there are many ways and many wonderful tutorials, not by me because I'm terrible at those. But if you want to learn how to, you know, print your journaling in different ways, there's lots of tutorials out there. That's how I learned. I went online and looked. And if you, somebody asked me one time, how do you get it to line up in all of those? I don't. Look at it. It's not lined up. Look at those last lines. They are crooked. And to be 100% honest, I guessed at how low down this was and moved my text box down, and it just happened to line up great. So this was all the luck of the draw. I figured if it looked really stupid, I would just print it on white. So I'm not afraid to use the paper. I have so much paper. I promise you, I will never, ever run out of pretty paper. And I will continue to buy more, even though I could scrapbook until I'm 110 and still not run out of pretty paper. I will still keep buying more because I love it and it brings me joy. Okay, now I was inking everything in black soot distress ink, and then because I did that at the crop, I didn't pull it out for today. Okay, so underneath of my distress ink pads, I just put the little foam applicator on a piece of Velcro so that I keep the colors with their matching foam pads. And then I just put a little scrap of paper underneath so that the ink just stays on its own color. And I'm just going to ink around the edges. I like the look of this. This is one of the things that I do on pretty much everything I make, is ink the edges. It's just a personal preference, and I find it super quick and easy, and I feel like it just makes everything look a little bit better finished. Oh gosh, this is right at the end. The chances of me running out of ATG before the end of this video are very high. So, see how I was going to cover those up anyway, so it didn't matter if I made mistakes or I hated it? Yeah, that's why I started down there. Okay, so that is my journaling. My date, I think I'm going to see if one of the stickers, so I'm using a collection from Authentique from 2011. Please don't get hung up on whether your papers are old or new or what you have to get rid of. If you have the space for it and it's not breaking the bank, you're allowed to keep it. Nobody's going to look at your layout and be like, she scrapbooked 2017 pictures on 2011 paper in 2024. What is wrong with that girl? No, I promise you nobody will know, except for you, because I'm telling you. But anyway, okay, so I did use this alpha for the word Vancouver, and I used this alpha for the police museum. So like I said, if the alpha was in the collection kit, then I probably went ahead and made a title. If it wasn't, I might have anyways. I did have some alphas there with me, but if I didn't find something I liked, I probably left it. So then a lot of this is like about best friends and stuff. But so obviously I'm not going to put that on a, you know, something with skulls and handcuffs and stuff. But because it is a museum, I feel like some of this like older stuff, like this bowler hat and this like little old race car, and this, even this little boy like with the beanie and the bicycle and all of that kind of stuff, any of that kind of stuff can go on here. And then there's a lot of like neutral things too. So what I was saying is I think I'm going to grab one of these little tag pieces, and that's where I'm going to put my date. So for now, let me see. I think I want it up here. It's not super sticky because, like I said, these are a bit old, so I'm just going to lay it there gently. And then I already preset my date stamp. I went and looked up the date of the photo. Isn't that a beautiful thing that we can look up the date of the photo in the metadata of our pictures? Such a lovely thing. So March 28th, 2017 was the day we attended this museum. So that's going to go on there. So now I have my photos, title, date, and journaling. So if I wanted to stop there, I could be totally done. But I love to embellish. So let me find on the sketch, Lisa put a little embellishment cluster here and a little embellishment cluster here. I put my journaling down here. She didn't actually put a spot on here for some journaling, but I think I might actually add a little bit of embellishment to my journaling space as well. Okay, so now, like I said, this little thing didn't have a ton of embellishments that went with what I was scrapbooking about, but we will use some of them. But to start my embellishment spots, I want a couple of little embellishment bases, so cluster bases. So I think I'm going to use some of these navy film strips. What are they called? They are called Inkwell film strips by 49 and Market. And these are newer, 2023. So don't be afraid to mix and match your things. So I think, I don't know if I want this down here, up here. Oh, I kind of like it there. So all I'm going to do is kind of see like where does it look like it will fit nicely. And then I'm just going to like trim it. Oops. That can go. And then I'm just going to trim it so that I can tuck it kind of under that photo. And these little film strips make nice cluster bases. So when you're making a cluster, I don't know if you've ever been through this before. I'm sure you've heard it if you watch a lot of YouTube, heard people talk about clusters and making clusters. But I don't know. I just kind of build them until I like them. And if I don't like them, I take them apart and try again. But I have watched enough to hear people say that you always start with the big thing, because you want something big on the bottom to kind of like ground your cluster or your embellishment placement. And so I'm just going to run a little bit of glue along this seam so that if it does show up, that it maybe will look like part of the ink underneath. But it does dry clear, so it shouldn't show up. And because I just want that to stay in place, and I don't think that little bit of dry adhesive under the photo is going to do the trick. So there's that. Now over here, I'm going to do something similar. So I want that same photo strip, and I think I'm going to lift this back up because, like I said, it's not super sticky, and probably just going to tuck it under that photo. Yep. So we saw that the dry adhesive didn't really stick it down with this paper. This Authentique paper is quite substantial. If you have not used this stuff before, it kind of reminds me of like Cartabella paper. It's textured, it's thick. Okay, now, do I want it? I want it a little bit inside. So I want it to stay inside of the confines of where the paper is on this side, but I want it to stick out a little bit on this side. Now down here, because I said I was going to do a little bit down here, maybe I'll just pull this little film piece and I will add some liquid adhesive to the top of it. And then I'm going to tuck that under my... Now, if you're watching, if you're going to do this kind of layering thing, a lot of people like to just leave it until they're done with the layers and then they do the adhesive. I don't do that, but I do add like wet glue and stuff at the end to make sure things are tacked down properly. But I tend to put things down and lift them up, and I have been known to rip the white glue right off of the page because I wanted to move something. So there is no wrong way, guys, no wrong way. Okay. So that gives me a little bit in those spots. So large first, then medium. So I brought out some stamps because I wasn't sure if I would find what I was looking for in my embellishment sticker sheet. And that's all the embellishments that were with this collection, with this kit. So I think I'm going to stamp a couple of stars onto some paper from the collection so that they will coordinate. So I think I'm going to start with this big star. So these stamps are obviously not new. I don't know if there's a date on them or anything. 2006, so they're definitely not new, but they're new to me. I just got them. I picked this up at the retreat, actually, I was at on the weekend. One of my friends, Marie, was getting rid of some stamps, and I grabbed this one from her before she put the rest on the give and take table at the retreat. So I feel like I can always use some hearts and stars. So I felt like this stamp set was right up my alley, even though it's not necessarily the current fashion in scrapbooking or in fashion itself. Okay. So I am just lining this up in a way that allows that center piece of the design on the paper to be also in the center of my star. Do I like it? No, I do not. Will I like it if I cut it out? I don't know. Let's find out. A bit more. Actually, I do kind of like it better. And then let's put some ink around the outside edges, just with some Black Soot Distress ink. And I think that actually looks pretty good, and it coordinates with the patterned paper that I'm using. So, and that was just the back side of that lined paper that I used for my journaling. So I'm going to put that right over here as my next largest thing to put on there. Do I want to try that again, or should I try a smaller star? I am going to go with this smaller one. I'm going to put it on, let's see, what other paper do I have in the scraps here? What if I did one on this striped sheet? So I don't know about anybody else, but I really prefer to stamp on a scrap piece and then cut it out. And if I hate it, it's okay because it's not directly on my layout. Now I know a lot of people are like, just go for it, you can cover it up. Yep, and I do that too sometimes, but if I can, I'm gonna try it this way. And yeah, maybe there. Now, what if I put this sticker on here that says the best of friends, but I cover it up with my star? There we go. There we go. So I like that. I think that's how that one's gonna go. And then down here, I think I'm just gonna take one of these little circle pieces. I'm gonna tuck that in there. Ink around the edges first so it has a little bit of definition. Tuck that in there. There we go. And I do love these little tickets. So, and we were at a museum, so we needed tickets to get in, so it's fitting. Not that I think you need a reason to use tickets. I feel like they can go just about anywhere. I think this is gonna go here. And again, with the lifting up, tucking, putting back down. That's just how I do things. And then I'm going to put one over here. And then we're just about done, but I always like to end with a little bit of a sprinkly something. And actually, I feel like this needs a little something else too. So let's see what else we can put on there. Maybe something that says courage, because law enforcement people definitely need some courage. And then kind of like this piece. I don't know what it is, but it'll do the trick. I'm just gonna tuck that back there. And behind the ticket. There we go. So we started with the base. We added something big. These are something medium. And same here. We started with something big. We added some medium stuff. And then we added a couple of small things to each spot, right? I'm gonna ink this up. There we go. Helps us tuck some of that in behind. There we go. And then I'm going to add a little bit of sprinkly bits. So we got something big, medium, and small on each one. And then I like to put, usually I use enamel dots, but this is another thing that I was trying to get onto some of my layouts this year, was some of these metal embellishments. I know in some climates this is not a good option because of the humidity, but where I live it's very dry and I've never had anything rust on my layout. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use them. I'm just trying to decide which one I like the best, but maybe these ones. They're a little bit metallic, shiny instead of matte finished, but I think that'll be okay. And they have a little bit of like a steel blue to them. So I'm going to grab a piercing tool and I'm going to go in and I'm just going to pick a spot for each one and I'm going to put 3 in each cluster spot. Does that make sense? So science tells us that our vision, and you'll hear this in any kind of decorating, home decor, scrapbook pages, art, things in odd numbers appeal to our eye. So if you put 3 or 5 of something, it's going to appeal more than putting 2 or 6 of something. And so I try to keep that in mind when I'm scrapbooking, but I also don't use that as like a hard and fast rule. So okay, and by the magic of editing, all of those beautiful brads are now in place, and I feel like my layout is complete. My layout now has beautiful paper in this beautiful sketch from Lisa Brooks. Thank you, Lisa, for the inspiration. If you do take the time to watch my video, I very much appreciate your time creating the sketch, and I look forward to sharing more of these videos with you guys during Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches Series 16. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.